Moonbeam and Briefly, The List, written by Rebecca Stayt, illustrated by Zela, Miranda. There once was, and still is, and always will be, an infinite light named Moonbeam. Moonbeam lives alone in a universe somewhere in the sky past the clouds. Moonbeam has no idea where she came from, nor has she ever wanted to know where her existence began. All she is certain of is that she is a natural traveler who loves to explore many places in her never-ending universe by simply having the desire to do so. She can beam herself anywhere. She prefers to travel with Briefly, a jolly, knowledgeable, and familiar pal. Hello, Moonbeam. Have you decided where you would like to visit today? Briefly asked as he floated into Moonbeam's living room, uninvited of course, the way Moonbeam prefers. Hello, Briefly. I'm fascinated with a very small planet called Earth, where light like us can live at one with nature, replied Moonbeam with great self-assurance. Oh yes, Moonbeam, the planet that is made of earth, water, air and fire. I do think that's a jolly good choice. The human experience. I've read that Earth is quite an extraordinary and rather unusual place, said Briefly. I don't know why this particular planet seems to be a place we have visited before, said Moonbeam, as she continued to stare into her globe. That's rather interesting, said Briefly. Is our list and travel guide on to Earth securely packed? Asked Moonbeam. You bet, replied Briefly. I think this will be quite an exciting adventure. Are you ready, Briefly? Asked Moonbeam. Ready, replied Briefly, and in a blink of an eye, Moonbeam and Briefly were entering planet Earth's atmosphere. Open your eyes, Briefly, shouted Moonbeam. And before they knew it, they were on Earth. Wow, isn't this amazing, Briefly? We are human. We are one with nature. I think we may have landed in the rainforest. Doesn't the rain feel amazing? Moonbeam kept speaking with excitement as she lifted Briefly, and soon realized there was something not quite right. Moonbeam knew that Briefly had not entered Earth in the same form as Moonbeam had. Oh dear, Briefly's form is so very different in Earth's atmosphere. I may have to take this trip alone and see him again when we return to our universe. Moonbeam thought with great sadness. I've read about this feeling of sadness. Who could imagine it could feel so utterly awful? This is very strange. How is any human able to get anything accomplished feeling this way? Thought Moonbeam. Then suddenly Moonbeam remembered something. The list! I must read the message on our list. Moonbeam quickly removed the list Briefly had been holding and read it. Imagination is very important on Earth. If I am a different form, talk to me like you did in space. Use your imagination. And if we get lost on Earth, then there is a place called Dreams. We can always meet there. Yes, of course. I will always have Briefly near me. only on Earth, we can only see each other in our imagination or in our dreams. Moonbeam searched for a cozy place to rest, and although for Moonbeam sleep was something she had never experienced in her universe she traveled from, she was surprised at how little effort it took to actually fall asleep. And before she knew it, she was lucky enough to find briefly her old familiar pal waiting for her with lemonade, a picnic basket filled with all their favorite imaginary snacks. Well, hello there, Moonbeam. I'm so very glad you found the list, said briefly. I must be feeling happiness. Now this is a rather wonderfully perfect emotion, said Moonbeam. I am very happy as well, since I am no longer a piece of wet leather, giggled briefly. You must not say things like that when we meet. You are as real here on Earth as the trees, the mountains, oceans, and animals. I will hold you near on this journey and protect you. Protect us, said Moonbeam firmly. What a wonderful journey this will be. I can't begin to explain, said briefly. Moonbeam shook her head in agreement as she stared into Briefly's eyes before turning to look in the distance and said, Magic, my dear Briefly, pure magic. The end.